WMAL.
Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. And AM 630.
7:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Coming up at 8:05, we're going to be joined by ABC reporter Alex Stone. We're getting into the latest details about the Donald Sterling affair, the comments that he made that have offended so many. What will the NBA do? We'll get the very latest from ABC reporter Alex Stone at 8:05. Brian Wilson alongside Larry O'Connor.
And joining us right now is Virginia Delegate Barbara Comstock. She just won the primary there on Saturday to become the Republican nominee for Virginia's 10th congressional district, looking to take over the seat that Representative Wolf has held for so long. Delegate Comstock, please, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
So I got a question for you. Should you win this seat and take Representative Wolf's seat in Congress, you'll be part of the Republican caucus. And your Speaker of the House, John Boehner, he had this to say about the current Republican caucus with regard to immigration.
Oh, don't make me do this. Oh, this is too hard. You should hear him.
Well, will you be one of those people whining like that to the Speaker, or do you have a different message for the Speaker about immigration reform?
Well, I think, with winning this race, we've really been focused on, and what we've heard people want us to focus on is first getting the country back to work. And the Obama administration has definitely made that very difficult.
Wait, hold on. And that was a great try, Barbara. But
come
on. I mean, we'll get to that. But what about immigration? It is the topic of the day, and there's a big debate going on Capitol Hill right now. Were you a member of Congress, where would you fall on the issue of immigration reform?
Well, I think we need to do it step by step, and that's what we said that during the election is first we have to secure the borders, and then we have to enforce the current law, and then I'd like to see the current law. Then we look at it, how we change it in terms of focusing on economic benefits and getting back to the job things, because that's what we're hearing. What people want first and foremost is to get the economy moving, and the biggest thing that's hurting that is Obamacare, which is just crushing this economy. So I think we need to focus on the things that are going to get the economy moving first. And then on immigration, we need to, go piece by piece. I don't tend to like big omnibus bills, whether it's, Obamacare, which is a disaster, and we're finding that out every day, or this big immigration bill, because when you do base hits on things, I think you tend to get better improvements that way. So that's what I'd like to do with immigration. The only time I tend to like an omnibus bill is when it's a tax cut bill. Then I think we can talk about something bigger and overall tax reform, because then we're going in the direction of, we want to cut taxes, make them fairer and flatter. Yeah. So that's where I come down on big bills.
But just to follow up, though, about
the bill it's killing our economy.
just to follow up, though, this statement by the Speaker of the House about his fellow Republicans, does that bother you, the way he's referring to other Republicans?
Well, I haven't been focused on that. I've been focused on the other Republicans in my race lately. But, I think we've won because we focused on what brings everybody together and, building a center-right coalition that, wants to get people back to work. So I don't like to get into the sort of the infighting and back and forth. I didn't in my race. And I think the folks who did, people responded to that, saying, hey, we want someone who's out there problem solving, getting the things done that we're focused on, and that's what my record has been in the House of Delegates. Jobs have been my number one priority. I have the legislation and the record to demonstrate that I can get the job done on focusing on jobs.
Right.
And so, the chairman of the Science and Technology Committee, that's a big part of our district, and so I've been focused on things like that, and I tend to want to stay away from the inter-party fights. I think we need to be building the party and expanding the party, and I think that a district like the 10th district, where I used to work for Congressman Wolf, so I know the district well, we have that kind of opportunity to build a bigger, broader party that includes a lot of people, and those folks want to focus on these basics like jobs and getting Obamacare out of the way. And I think the third biggest issue that we heard was really restoring American exceptionalism. And this president, once again, you see the polls today, how weak we are abroad. There's no country in the world that thinks of us, has more respect for us today than when he came in. It's just a weakening every day.
Let's talk about your opponent for a moment. They're in the 10th district for the Democrats. Is he much different than Nancy Pelosi that you can see? Because I'm looking at his record, and I can't see how he's going to vote any different than Nancy Pelosi.
No, well, in fact, Nancy Pelosi, pretty much he's, a hand-picked candidate for her. She came in and did a fundraiser for my opponent on her birthday, no less. So, she's in there already working hard for him. And that's why this is going to be a tough race. But I think, I come at this as I know this district from having worked for Frank Wolf, and I know there are big shoes to fill with Frank Wolf. I mean, he's a great boss. He's been a great mentor to me. And, he's worked and knows this district better than anybody. And fortunately, I've been able to work with him over, on every election since 1984. And, when I worked with him as a staffer, but then worked on Capitol Hill and other positions. And now in my position as delegate, I've always worked closely with him on issues like human trafficking,
right,
on our tech community, and this is what the district needs is somebody in his tradition, not the Nancy Pelosi model, where you pass legislation then find out what's in it. I mean,
all right,
that is not, she's not popular in this.
Well, would you be in favor of ending Obamacare or mending Obamacare? I noticed that Kathy McMorris Rogers, who's in the leadership, has said that, look, Obamacare as a law is not going to be repealed, but we might be able to fix it. Where would you be on that?
I have been very much for repealing and then replacing it because it is such a mess. I think you have to repeal it, and the president has, 38 times said he's not going to even enforce it. So, then we replace it with good market-based, patient-centered reforms. Things like buying insurance across state lines, having portability, dealing with pre-existing conditions. We know there's a lot more to that. I won't, but we have legislation where we can replace it, and then let the states do what they want to do in terms of particular populations that they have. I mean,
All
in
right.
parts of Virginia, we have rural. I work with the Korean Medical Society. You have to let the states and localities have more flexibility, not a top-down Obamacare.
Virginia Delegate Barbara Comstock, she's a Republican nominee for Virginia's 10th, and she is ready to square off now against Fairfax County Supervisor John Faust, the Democratic nominee. It's going to be a good race. Don't be a stranger, Delegate Comstock. Love to hear from you.
Great, and send people to my website. It's BarbaraComstockForCongress.com.
I think you just did that. Yeah.
All right, it's 7:44.